This story begins as a man named Kenichi overworks himself until he ends up in the hospital. To protect his heart, Kenichi switches to a more tranquil life in the wilderness, where he tends to some crops and plays with some crows. He also watches some Isekai anime while doing some writing. One day, while trying to order some ingredients, Kenichi disappears and finds himself in a strange place. He finds a corpse nearby, which makes him wonder if he's in some fantasy world, and he decides to try what he saw in those isekai anime. He calls out for his status screen to open, and it shockingly works. Kenichi can't believe that it actually appeared, and it confirms that he's in another world. Oddly, his status screen doesn't display his health or magic points. It doesn't show any skills either, and it only displays something called Shangri-La. Clicking on it reveals that it's the major online shopping site that he used to use all the time in his old world. The only other thing on his status screen is his item box, Kenichi. He gives it a test by storing some weeds and finds that it's also pretty easy to remove stuff, and our hero's stomach grumbles, so he tries to get some food from Shangri-La. Unfortunately, his status screen instructs him to insert money, but Kenichi doesn't have any. Our intelligent protagonist comes up with an idea, and is delighted to find that he can trade stuff in from his item box. Misfortune strikes again, however, as the weeds he picked obviously aren't worth anything. Kenichi desperately needs something of value, and he spots the sword sticking out of the corpse. Kenichi trades the sword in for almost 100,000 yen and finally gets some food. He then buries the corpse and thanks it for helping.
助かったよ。安らかに。
Afterwards, we see that Kenichi has purchased the bike and some boots through his online shop. The compass he also purchased guides him as he needs to find a settlement so he can earn some money. While taking a break and making some food using all the stuff he bought, Kenichi comes up with an idea. He will use the money he's made to order things, then sell them in this world for even more money. Kenichi feasts on his delicious meal, but he is horrified when some terrifying monsters emerge from the forest. He desperately searches for some weapons on Shangri-La, but the monsters are quickly approaching. All he finds is a bow, but he doesn't know how to use one. He settles on buying some fireworks instead, but it only buys them a little bit of time. Kenichi buys a slingshot just in time, and it works perfectly. He actually manages to take out some of the beast, so he doesn't let up and keeps attacking. Eventually, the wolves just run away, and so does Kenichi. The headlamp he purchased helps guide him in the dark, and he gets as far away as he can. The next day, Kenichi's relieved to see a city in the distance. As he makes his way there, he runs into a merchant named Fuyu. Kenichi accepts his offer to take him to the city, and he introduces himself to the other passenger. Kenichi explains that he's planning to do business in the city, but Fuyu wonders why he isn't carrying any equipment. He realizes that Kenichi must be one of those special people with an item box, and the other passenger shows off hers by pulling out an instrument. She sings a song about their little journey and says that it's time for Kenichi's story to finally begin in the city. Kenichi thanks for the ride by giving him some pepper. Fuyu is amazed but horrified at the same time, and he wonders if this is what Kenichi plans to sell in the city. He explains that this would be very dangerous because there is a spice syndicate in the city. They are called Bikopa, and they have a monopoly on all the spices. Fuyu loosens up a bit and offers to pay for the pepper, but it was intended to be a gift. Fuyu, as a proud merchant, insists, and Kenichi makes his first sale. After Fuyu leaves, Kenichi does some quick calculations, and he's amazed by how much pepper sells for. That night, Kenichi heads to a restaurant where he is greeted by the receptionist. This place has also gone in, so Kenichi pays 1 silver for a room. The girl tells him to sign his name, but Kenichi realizes that he has no clue how to write in this world. The receptionist wonders why he's dressed so strangely, and Kenichi explains that it has to do with his business. Unfortunately, he is told that the Merchants Guild won't register anyone if they can't read, write, or calculate numbers. Kenichi clarifies that he isn't some idiot, it's just that he doesn't know the writing of this nation. The girl gives him a quick test to see if he can do math, and she's amazed when Kenichi aces it. Reading and writing are still an issue though, so she teaches him how to write his name. The girl introduces herself as Azalea, and Kenichi asks if she could teach him how to read and write in this country's language. Kenichi sweetens the deal by offering to give her candy from another country, and she is sold. The candy's absolutely delicious, and Azalea can't believe she gets to eat it. She feels like a noble, but she fears that they might take it away from her if they found out. Her liking the candy is nice and all, but Kenichi asked if she could start teaching him already. After a while, Kenichi realizes that the language isn't too different from the one in his old world. Azalea is impressed by how quickly he has learned, and she is sure that Kenichi will be a great merchant. She can see success coming his way, so she says that she might want to be his mistress. Kenichi is quite a bit older than her, however, so he warns her that she should just forget about him. Of course, he only makes it worse by drawing a portrait of her, and Azalea is amazing again. This, along with the candy, makes her feel really special. So Azalea decides that she has to repay Kenichi. The next morning, Kenichi fills out the required paperwork at the Merchants Guild. The registration fee is 1 silver, but Kenichi's wallet has taken a beating and he's down to 116,000 yen. Luckily, he's allowed to pay in installments, and he is given his guild ID. Outside, Kenichi wanders around the market to study the prices of all the goods. 1 plain plate goes for a small square silver, which is roughly 5,000 yen. 2 sheets of slightly brown paper go for 1 copper, which is around 1,000 yen. He spots some knives and noted their price as well. Kenichi then buys a mixed bag of fruit from Chiquita Banana, but he has never seen food like them before. His item box displays their names, but he still has no clue. Luckily, Azalea has heard of them and she loves them. In his room, Kenichi tries to think of what his goal should be, but he ends up passing. The next day, Kenichi uses a bunch of supplies he bought, including a hammer, to build himself a stand. Azalea is amazed by the style of clothespin he's using because the ones she uses are flimsy and they always break. His are much better, and Kenichi is surprised when she says they could be very valuable. A while later, Kenichi shocks some poor old lady when he summons his stand next to her. He gets everything prepared and the lady ends up buying 5 clothespins for 1 copper. Her name is Anima, and she welcomes him to the area. After a few hours, Anima notes that his clothespins are in high demand. Anima's sales have picked up just by being near Kenichi, so she hopes that he never leaves. Kenichi's glad that his pins have been so profitable, but he's a savvy businessman, and he knows that imitators will eventually start selling something similar. Just then, some kid shows up and Kenichi can instantly tell that he's someone of high status. The guy looks at one of Kenichi's knives, and Kenichi shows him how easily it can cut through stuff. It cost 2 silver, which is quite expensive, but the guy has never seen such a pristine blade and he is interested. The knife is a little too small for him, however, so he wonders if Kenichi has anything bigger. Kenichi searches his item shop, but it's going to be hard to find anything because of certain laws. Luckily, he manages to find his sword, and the guy's amazed by its beauty. It comes with a heavy price tag, however, as it costs 1 gold, but the guy really wants it. He struggles with his own impulses, and Kenichi wonders if he asked for too much. This guy is clearly a big spender, so Kenichi knew he had to make the best of it. Just then, some little cat person starts sniffing around and some other cat people scold her for going overboard. This is Kenichi's first time seeing beast folk, so he apologizes for his reaction, and one of the cats jumps onto Kenichi's stand as he wants to buy his roof. Kenichi says it's not for sale, but he remembers that he can always buy more. The guy wants to buy 3 of them, so our boy gives him a juicy discount. He shaves off 1 copper from the total, but the cats don't have copper. They don't even seem to know math, but our boy Kenichi does, and he works it out. The cats don't trust him, but the blonde guy vouches for Kenichi, as his calculations were impeccable. With that sale done, the blonde guy says that he's ready to buy the sword that night. Kenichi uses his earnings to pay for 5 whole nights at the end and elsewhere. Some nobles amazed by the clothespins that her maid bought and she gets the idea to sell them at her company. Determined not to let this opportunity slip away, she sets out to find her father. Back with our boy, he prepares to bathe in some little tub thing he bought on Chandra Law. He finds that they have drum baths, and he thinks about filling it up with the water and heating it over a fire. After all this buying he has been doing, Kenichi begins to wonder how the online shop even works. The light from the screen doesn't illuminate his surroundings, and he has no clue how the packages even get to him. He begins to fear that it might be some kind of scam that will eventually demand his soul as payment for its use. It's too much to figure out, so our boy just gives up elsewhere. We see some girl be done on a pigeon so she can have something to eat, and the girl is startled as someone calls out to her, and she begs God for her not to be found. I appreciate you viewing my anime recap, Unruly Family. Please let me know what you think about this anime recap by liking, sharing, and commenting, and please subscribe to the channel to help us reach 5,000 subscribers.